Hey everybody, we've been super busy, so haven't been streaming on our second channel as much as we normally would. But when we do stream Game Boy games, I wanted to show you how we actually stream those and what we use. 'Cause typically, we're using the Super Game Boy 2, and I'll tell you why I like the Super Game Boy 2 over the original Super Game Boy. Okay, so a couple of things. The Super Game Boy 2, you're going to pay 2 to 4 times the price of a regular Super Game Boy, just right off the bat. Also, to the Super Game Boy 2 never came out for the actual Super Nintendo. They only came out on the Super Famicom in Japan, even though with some modification, you can get these to work in a Super Nintendo. Not necessarily going to go through that. But one of the main differences between the Super Game Boy and the Super Game Boy 2, the link cable port. So if you're a Pokemon fan or you want to play two-player, you can have one player on the console playing up on the screen with theirs, and you can have the other one with their Game Boy plugged into the side. And you can battle it out up on the TV. These actually work great if you're streaming Game Boy games, especially if you already have a Super Famicom that hooked up through your capture card. This is another way to do it. And also to the Super Game Boy 2 runs at the original speed of the Game Boy, where the original Super Game Boy, I think, runs like 2.4% faster, which doesn't seem like a whole lot until you get into speed running certain things, and they will look at that and they will disqualify things for that. But there's also some other games that slight speed increase is noticeable on there. Like I said, I absolutely love this thing, especially if we're streaming or doing screen captures for a Game Boy. Don't have to do a lot of modifications to the Game Boy to get video out, even though it is possible. These are a lot. This is just a easier, cheaper solution, and I'm not digging for my Game Boy and plugging it in and trying to play off of that when I can get it up on my TV or over on my computer screen or everything on there. But absolutely love these. I mean, you can do the same thing with the regular Game Boy if you don't care about the link port, or if this running at the actual speed versus the regular Super Game Boy running just about, I think it's 2.4% faster, or 2.4 megahertz. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head on which one that is. So don't quote me on that, but I do know the original runs a little bit faster, and this actually runs at the actual clock speeds. But these things are great. Like I said, you're getting your Game Boy games up on the screen. I know a lot of people like emulation, stuff like that. You want to emulate stuff, go right ahead. Don't care. I like original hardware where I can use original hardware. I emulated stuff for a long time, and I still do, especially when I go on road trips. I grab my emulation box that comes with me, don't take my consoles, and that's what I do a lot of my recording streams and playing games when we're out and about, or it's just too late and the weather sucks. Either way, that was just a really quick rundown on the Super Game Boy 2. A few slight differences. There's a lot more than what I listed, but just kind of the two big major differences between this and the regular Super Game Boy, other than price. But again, we are North Pole Retro. You can find us at northpoleretro.com. Consoles, modification, repairs, and obviously we do reviews, and we also do restoration services. We have some new keychains up in the store under our laser engraving section. Check those out. We've got 112 or 14 different designs that we can put on these for you. Again, thanks for stopping in. Have a good night. We'll see you in the next one, and join our Patreon for giveaways.